Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news tonight on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges world leaders to be a part of New India story, cautioning the global community on the challenges of climate change, terrorism and protectionism, urges sweeping reforms to address the needs of emerging economies. From technology to climate change, GDP growth to terrorism, Prime Minister Modi speaks on a range of issues in his characteristic style. Says New India is willing to transform, perform and meet the challenges of the global community head-on. Riding on a bull run for the fifth straight day, Sensex and Nifty scale fresh all-time highs. Nifty closes up 117 points at 11,083 points. Sensex gains over 300 points to close at 36,139 points. Supreme Court dismisses petitions of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh governments on the film Padmavat, refuses to reconsider lifting the ban on law and order concerns. And in the run-up to the union budget, Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog, Rajiv Kumar, dismisses speculation about an election year budget, tells Rajya Sabha TV that Union Budget 2018 will not be a populist one. Well, our top story comes from Davos in Switzerland, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as the keynote speaker, addressed the plenary session of the World Economic Forum. The much-awaited speech focused on the new India and its willingness to transform and perform, and also the challenges ahead for the global community.
Showcasing New India at the plenary session of the 48th World Economic Forum, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said his government has chosen the path of reform, perform and transform. Selling India as an investment destination, he said that country is making historic changes in its economic and social policies to enable ease of business.
मैं आप सबका आह्वान करता हूं कि अगर आप वेल्थ के साथ वेलनेस चाहते हैं तो भारत में आइए। अगर आप हेल्थ के साथ जीवन की होलनेस यानी समग्रता चाहते हैं तो भारत में आए। अगर आप प्रॉस्पेरिटी के साथ पीस चाहते हैं तो भारत में आए। आप भारत आए, भारत में हमेशा आपका स्वागत होगा।
Speaking on the grave threats facing the world, Prime Minister Modi said climate change is the biggest challenge. Listing terrorism as the second grave global challenge, Prime Minister Modi said radicalization of educated youth is a serious concern, just as protectionism is another major challenge.
हर कोई कहता है कि कार्बन एमिशन को कम करना चाहिए, लेकिन ऐसे कितने देश या लोग हैं जो विकासशील देशों और समाजों को उपयुक्त टेक्नोलॉजी उपलब्ध कराने के लिए आवश्यक संसाधन मुहैया कराने में मदद करने के लिए आगे आते हैं। आतंकवाद जितना खतरनाक है, उससे भी खतरनाक है गुड टेररिस्ट और बैड टेररिस्ट के बीच बनाया गया आर्टिफिशियल भेद। ग्लोबलाइजेशन अपने नाम के विपरीत सिकुड़ता चला जा रहा है। इस प्रकार की मनोवृत्तियां और गलत प्राथमिकताओं के दुष्परिणाम को क्लाइमेट चेंज या आतंकवाद के खतरे से हम कम नहीं आंक सकते।
Addressing the plenary session, Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised the issue of challenges being posed by technology and social media.
आज डेटा ये बहुत बड़ी संपदा है। डेटा के ग्लोबल फ्लो से सबसे बड़े अवसर बन रहे हैं और सबसे बड़ी चुनौतियां भी।
Sounding a positive note, Prime Minister Modi emphasized that a predictable, stable, transparent and progressive India is good news in an otherwise uncertain global environment.
A predictable, stable, transparent and progressive India will continue to be the good news in an otherwise state of uncertainty and flux. An India where enormous diversity exists harmoniously will always be unifying and harmonizing force.
Narendra Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister to address the World Economic Forum in Davos in 2 decades. Prime Minister Modi pointed out that before him, H.D. Deve Gowda had attended the summit in 1997, and since then, India's GDP has risen 6 times. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met a group of Indian CEOs at the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. This as India presented a collective pitch for showcasing the growth story of the country. Apart from the government officials present in the meeting, it also included Rahul Bajaj, Chanda Kochar, Uday Kotak, among others. The Prime Minister also met heads of major companies of the world. Praising the business environment in India, he said it's conducive and is being appreciated around the world. Well, another big news of the day now. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley asserted on Tuesday that India has opened up its economy to global investment. He stressed that at a time when the world has started looking inwards, India stands as an exception. Delivering the valedictory address at the 2-day India-ASEAN Business Summit, Jaitley also pointed out that India-ASEAN trade and investment relations have been growing steadily.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley's message to the world and ASEAN nations was clear. India is an open economy and ready for global investments across sectors. Delivering the valedictory address at the ASEAN-India Business and Investment Meet in the national capital on Tuesday, Jaitley said an open economy with global integration has brought additional resources for India.
This confidence of the new India is that it is getting greater, globally integrated. And this opening out in terms of trade, opening out in terms of investment has certainly not only additionality of resources as far as India is concerned, but significantly improved upon India's own competitive strengths.
Jaitley also stressed that the Act East policy is central to India's cooperation with ASEAN and is strongly driven by trade and economic engagement. He also stressed on the importance of improved connectivity for achieving higher trade and investment.
The modest growth rate in the last 25 years we've picked up, and today have reached a point where India becomes one of the faster growing economies in the world. And any region that trades with India, or any person who invests in India, really looks at the prospect over the next 2 to 3 decades.
India adopted the Act East policy in 2014, which has led to ties with South Asian nations reaching new highs. The leaders of the 10 ASEAN nations would also be guests of honor at the Republic Day celebrations. The business summit focused on trade facilitation measures taken to promote trade between India and ASEAN countries in the manufacturing sector, promoting the SME ecosystem to enhance entrepreneurship quotient in the region and startup culture to create a new pipeline of ideas. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Textiles Minister Smriti Irani on Tuesday said that India has the potential to become the one-stop sourcing destination for brands and retailers from ASEAN. The minister was addressing a seminar on the India-ASEAN weaving textile relations in New Delhi. But even before the main event, several other programs were held on the sidelines of the ASEAN-India Business Council Forum. Here's a report.
Textile Minister Smriti Irani on Tuesday urged ASEAN industry to set up manufacturing bases in India to cater to the domestic market and exports. Addressing a seminar on India-ASEAN weaving textiles relations, Irani said she's hopeful that the program is the beginning of a new era in the textile sector.
I am hopeful that today's program is the beginning of a new era in the textile sector, a new friendship that can be forged to ensure that we give better manufacturing opportunities, better wage opportunities, and also help strengthen our legacies in the handloom and handicraft sector.
Meanwhile, Bright Indian Textiles showcased for top diplomats of ASEAN nations who got an insight into what the India is producing to attract business in Southeast Asia.
The policy of Act East policy of Indian is the good one. It's very important, and the ASEAN is support for this policy. Act East policy does mean the bridge between Indian and ASEAN through Northeast, you see, Northeast. This is the issue of the connectivity, the air connectivity, the road connectivity, and the maritime connectivity.
The Laosian ambassador said the upcoming trilateral India-Myanmar-Thailand highway will boost trade between ASEAN countries and India.
ये इसके वजह से हम लोग का बहुत सुविधा मिलेगा, मतलब ये हमारा मणिपुर का जो बना हुआ हैंडलूम का प्रोडक्ट है, ये तो सिर्फ इंडिया के अंदर से बेचने से वजह से आउटसाइड कंट्री में भी, एशियन कंट्री में भी सेल कर सकेगा.
I think the roadways, it's making us like connect more easily to the other countries and show our products and many other things, like to learn from them also and to show our things.
Small entrepreneurs and producers of silk textiles attracted a lot of attention from the ASEAN visitors.
हमारी ट्रेडिशन क्या रही है टेक्सटाइल्स में, सिल्क टेक्सटाइल्स में, हैंडलूम टेक्सटाइल्स में, और कितने सालों पुरानी रही है. इस चीज़ को रिप्रेजेंट करना सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है.
The enthusiasm and the keen interest shown by the visitors at the textile exhibition is a reflection of recent upgrade in India's relations with ASEAN nations. That has gone up beyond just looking east to acting east in recent years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At the Davos summit, Prime Minister Modi makes a pitch, inviting investors to be part of the new India story. As the world takes note, what can India do to attain full potential? Watch the big picture as we break it down for you at 9:30 p.m. only on Rajya Sabha TV.
India's best quizzers in action. It's a unique competition.
The name used to book the ticket is wrong answer. Who became Minister of External Affairs in Morarji Desai's government?
Quiz on elections. Watch out on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, in the run-up to the Union Budget, Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog gave an exclusive interview to Rajya Sabha Television. Dismissing speculation of an election budget this year, he said the Union Budget in 2018 will not be a populist one. Rajiv Kumar also allayed fears on the unemployment front. He said employment has risen phenomenally and that institutions like NITI Aayog will incorporate new benchmarks to arrive at correct figures about jobs in the country.
On what lines are you really expecting the budget as far as things like rural distress, unemployment, private investment, all these things are concerned?
It will not pander to any electoral causes.
Okay, so it's not going to be a populist budget.
It's not going to be this populist budget, with the handouts to everybody concerned, etc., etc. Okay. I think the Prime Minister doesn't believe in that.
the figures or the unemployment scenario, if I could say, is not as scary as it has been made out to be.
Not at all. I actually must commend to you the recent report produced by Ghosh and Ghosh, Soumyakanti Ghosh of the Chief Economist of State Bank of India, and Pulak Ghosh of the IIM Bangalore, a professor, who have looked at data from EPFO. In last year, 16-17, this economy generated 55 lakh jobs in the formal sector.
Well, you can watch the entire interview on our program To The Point on Wednesday at 10 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television. Moving on now, the Indian markets closed at fresh peaks on Tuesday, with the Nifty ending at 11,083 and the Sensex at 36,139. Gains came after an International Monetary Fund report showed India was set to regain the title as the world's fastest growing major economy in 2018-19, beating China. Positive global cues also lifted the key indices to their new highs from early morning trade. Here's a report.
Riding on the bull run for the fifth straight day, the Sensex and Nifty scaled fresh all-time highs on Tuesday. The NSE Nifty closed up 117.50 points or 1.07% at a fresh life high of 11,083.70. The BSE Sensex also gained over 300 points or 0.96% to close at 36,139.98. The record rise in indices comes a day after the IMF said India is projecting to grow at 7.4% in 2018 as against China's 6.8%, making it the fastest growing country among emerging economies.
Market on roll is basically Indian success story. As happened in the World Economic Forum, we can see how the Indian Prime Minister has been able to demonstrate India's success story. It's a country which is happening. It's a country with a destination. It's a country where people need to invest more and more. And as I see, India showcasing their success story and more on the economic growth.
Trading sentiment remained bullish, backed by sustained capital inflows by foreign funds and widespread buying by retail investors, driven by strong earnings by companies. Among the top gainers were Axis Bank, whose stocks surged around 2%, and BHEL, Coal India, IOC and Yes Bank. The Indian rupee also jumped as much as 10 paisa at 63.77 for a US dollar at the interbank foreign exchange market.
Because markets are always forward looking, so that's why Sensex and Nifty are showing the good results and good growth and good jump, making all-time highs again and again. So that is the reflection that coming time is good for us.
Meanwhile, Asian stocks also advanced on Tuesday after US senators struck a deal to end a 3-day government shutdown. Globally, market participants await the outcome of the European Central Bank's meeting on Thursday for possible clues to future shifts in the bank's monetary policy.
The domestic markets are on a continuous rising spree since about last 13 months, with benchmark indices making and breaking new records every day. In addition to global cues, there's optimism after the government hinted at no populist measure in the forthcoming budget. The budget could aid in determining the future course of action for markets from here on. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Shamlal, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
On another news now, Election Commissioner Om Prakash Rawat took over as the 22nd Chief Election Commissioner of India on Tuesday. He succeeds Achal Kumar Jyoti, who remitted office on Monday. Speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha television, Rawat said that his main priority is to carry forward the legacy of free and fair elections.
2018 एक अहम साल है, कई राज्यों में चुनाव होने हैं, कई अहम राज्यों में चुनाव होने हैं और अगले साल लोकसभा के चुनाव। ऐसे में क्या प्राथमिकताएं होंगी?
मेरी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता यही है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन का जो रिच ट्रेडिशन रहा है फ्री फेयर और क्रेडिबल इलेक्शन कराने का, उसको मैं आगे बढ़ाऊं कमीशन के सहयोग से, ताकि फ्री फेयर इलेक्शंस होते रहें। और दूसरे क्या है, 2019 में पार्लियामेंट के जनरल इलेक्शंस ड्यू हैं, तो उसके लिए भी तैयारी एक साल पहले से शुरू होती है, तो उन तैयारियों को भी बड़े मजबूती से, एफिशिएंट तरीके से पूरा किया जाए।
कुछ दलों ने ख़ास तौर पर जो चुनाव आयोग पर निशाना साधा है, ऐसे में क्या चुनाव आयोग उनके खिलाफ कोई सख्त रुख रखेगा या फिर किस तरीके से आप अगला कदम उठाएं?
अगर ये छोटी छोटी बातें जो आती हैं, जब भी आप कोई भी इवन मैच अगर हो रहा होता है उसमें रेफरी अगर कोई भी निर्णय दे रहा है तो उस पर भी आलोचना होने लगती है। तो ये तो स्वाभाविक है और ये हमेशा होता रहेगा। इलेक्शन कमीशन का काम है इलेक्शन कंडक्ट करना, उसमें लोगों का परसेप्शन उनके पास अवेलेबल इन्फॉर्मेशन के आधार पर होता है और उन्हें अगर 360 डिग्री इन्फॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल नहीं है तो वो कुछ भी उसको कर सकते हैं। और दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि पॉलिटिशियन कभी हार नहीं मानना चाहता, तो वो ये सोचता है कि पब्लिक के सामने हम कोई ना कोई जस्टिफिकेशन प्रोपेगेट कर दें कि जिससे ये ना लगे कि हमारे साथ ऐसा हुआ है।
विधानसभा चुनाव और लोकसभा चुनाव एक साथ कराए जाने की बात हुई, पार्लियामेंट में भी ये बात चली, तो इस पर चुनाव आयोग का क्या रुख है?
चुनाव आयोग का तो स्थापना ही इसलिए हुई है कि आपको इलेक्शन कंडक्ट कराना है। दैट्स द ओनली लिमिटेड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। किस तरह कराना, क्या कराना, ये संविधान और कानून में होता है जो हमारी पार्लियामेंट बनाती है। तो जब संविधान और कानून उस तरह का होगा तब चुनाव आयोग अपना रोल पूरा करेगा।
शुक्रिया सर हमसे बात करने के लिए। तो आप देख सकते हैं कि मुख्य चुनाव आयुक्त का साफ तौर पर कहना है कि फ्री और फेयर इलेक्शन चुनाव आयोग की प्राथमिकता होगी। कैमरामैन शिव के साथ नवविक्रम सिंह, राज्यसभा टीवी, दिल्ली।
Meanwhile, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that it is the responsibility of every Indian to pay taxes because the lack of revenue will impact development and welfare works of the government. The Vice President said this while addressing a seminar at a college in Hyderabad. He also said that the middle class and youth have a big role in the development of the country.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Tuesday addressed a national seminar at Keshav Memorial College in Hyderabad. The Vice President spoke about the challenges in finance and marketing areas, emphasizing that the middle class and youth can play an important role in the economic development of the country.
Expanding middle class will be the key driver of India's economic growth in the coming years. The large population of India, about 65% remaining under 35 years. The need of our is to take full advantage of these demographic numbers by creating adequate job opportunities for a young population.
The Vice President also talked about the government's economic reforms like note ban and GST. He said these reforms are an important step towards prevention of tax evasion. He also said that transparency in governance will ensure accountability and will also improve remittances to the government.
Expansion of formal economy will naturally lead to increased tax collections, higher revenues to the government, which in turn will be used to accelerate development, building roads, schools, hospitals, other essential infrastructure. While tax evasion has to be dealt with sternly, it should be ensured that there is no unnecessary harassment of the taxpayer by overzealous officials.
The Vice President also said that skill development along with value-based education is vital for students, as it will help them stay connected with the Indian culture and tradition. Rajkamal Rao's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Supreme Court on Tuesday pulled up both Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh governments while dismissing their plea to reconsider lifting the ban on Padmavat in their states. The Supreme Court then directed the two states to implement its order from January 18th, allowing screening of the film. It also ordered both the state governments to take the necessary steps to maintain law and order. Both states had cited potential law and order issues during the screening of the controversial film. The apex court, however, asked the states to follow its order and gave them the liberty to approach it again if the situation arises. The movie is scheduled to release on January 25th. Well, ending the three-day shutdown in the US, President Donald Trump signed a short-term government funding bill that will keep the government funded till February 8th. The Democratic leadership agreed to back the bill after accepting promises from Republicans for a debate later. On the future of young illegal immigrants, it is the fourth temporary measure since October because Capitol Hill cannot agree on a longer-term budget. Earlier on Monday, the House passed the continuing resolution 266 to 150 after the Senate passed the measure 81 to 18. The measure funds the government till February 8th, before which the Democrats and Republicans need to agree to a long-term solution to the government funding and on issues related to illegal immigration. The bill includes a 6-year extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program. The vote comes 3 days after the government officially shut down Friday at midnight. After an impasse between Democrats and Republicans claiming victory in his standoff with Democrats, Trump signed the measure into law, ensuring that government operations would return to normal on Tuesday.
A statement here from the President of the United States that I will read. Quote, I am pleased that Democrats in Congress have come to their senses and are now willing to fund our great military, border patrol, first responders, and insurance for vulnerable children. As I've always said, once the government is funded, my administration will work towards solving the problem of very unfair illegal immigration. We will make a long-term deal on immigration if and only if it's good for our country.
This is about meeting the needs of the American people. It is also about honoring the values that has made our nation a beacon to the world. Today, we end the Trump shutdown, but it does not diminish our leverage or our determination on the Democratic side to meet the needs of the American people. Democrats are united in our determination to get the job done.
Well, that's it on this newscast. Good night.